Hey there, everybody. It's me. It's Molly, getting ready to start. And as I mentioned in the last Facebook post, if any of you guys saw it, I have my coffee here ready to go, and it is ridiculously hot. Um, don't mind this. I actually just did this because I'm going to a dinner thing right after I'm done talking to you guys. So I keep looking at my hair and going like, it's more curly than I'm used to. Yeah, so those of you guys who've never been on a webinar with me, that is a 10-second preview of what my webinars include, is this random thoughts on ridiculous things. So I was like, maybe I should stick to just business stuff this time and not go off on these tangents for 5 seconds about random nonsense, but I failed clearly already. So welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Let me just make sure everything is working and we're good to go. Open up my little questions box. Hey, Ken. It's nice to see you too. Thanks for being on here. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm doing pretty well. Everybody has been sick with like flus and things like that. Unfortunately, I just got like a tiny sore throat the other day and that was it. So far I have been fortunate. Everybody is doing good. I appreciate you asking. Who else we have on here? Hey, Colleen. Angelina, nice to see you. You're on my webinars a lot. You guys who are joining in, I'm going to give it a minute, take a couple sips of my coffee, and I'll tell you the story about why I need it at this time of day. It's pretty funny how this happened. I felt I joked about having dumb blonde moments, which I don't normally, talk about dumb blonde jokes and things like that. That was more when I was younger. But it has been an epic battle of wits against myself in the last couple of days, where just ridiculous things just, I just keep going, I cannot, my brain is just not working. I don't know what is going on. So Jason is out of town. Those of you guys who don't know, Jason is my husband, so he's always in the background of all the videos. So if you watch any of the videos on the blog or any of the mini workshops or anything like that, he's always behind camera talking to me. So sometimes you'll hear his voice from off camera telling me to say something differently or whatever. And that's pretty much all you'll ever get as far as evidence of Jason's existence, because he's very much behind the scenes. That's his preference. So he is away, and he's actually in somewhere in the Caribbean looking at sharks right now underwater, taking great pictures again, because that's what we do. We just spend as much time as possible underwater. So I have all 3 of the kids, and we got invited to go to this kind of dinner salsa pool party thing last night, and it was in Orlando, and I live about 3 hours from Orlando. So my friend who was taking us was not getting off work until 5:30, so we left the house at 4:15 in the afternoon, drove to her office an hour away, piled in a car with her and one other friend, and drove to Orlando and got there about 8:30, which is after the kids' bedtime. And they're all up fighting sleep until after midnight, dancing the night away and going to the pool. And then we were going to spend the night, and my friend who was the navigator in the car was like, nah, I think I'd rather just go home. So he had his phone with the map on it on the way home. He's like, oh, look, it looks like it'll take less time this time to get home than it took to get down here. And my friend Jenny, who was driving, was like, oh, well, probably because there's no traffic. So we didn't think much of it. We're driving and trying to stay awake, and it's at this point about 2 o'clock in the morning. And, I had coffee at our friend's house before we left, and the phone was just sitting there in front of my knees, and I'm sitting in the back seat. They're in the front seat. My kids are behind me and next to me. And the phone's there, and I'm watching it so that Zach, my friend in the front seat, can go to sleep because he's just wiped out. The kids are asleep partially, and so I'm watching the phone. And then we realized about an hour and a half later that the next turn was not 95 north. It was another highway that we were completely unfamiliar with. And my friend Jenny, the driver, was like, I think that highway's in Tampa, which is on the southwest side of the, southwest of Orlando, not northeast of Orlando where we were heading. So we had gone an hour and a half on 4 east of the wrong, on Route 4 in the wrong direction. We went on 4 west, and it was pouring down rain, and we just didn't notice. We were all tired. So we had an extra 3 hours of driving to get home, and I rolled into my driveway after getting back to her office and getting back to our own cars, and then driving an extra hour home at 7 o'clock in the morning, completely skipping the entire night. So between my husband being gone, having all 3 of the kids by myself, and being, which is fine because they're easy kids. You'll hear them or see them at some point, I'm sure. And also having no night's sleep at all. I'm a little bit punchy, so you never really know what I'm going to say. Hopefully we'll be able to get all the important information out to you. And if I see a question and I completely blank on it and miss answering it, or I don't see your question or anything like that, feel free to stay in touch back when my brain cells turn back on. So that all said, hey, Angelina, I'm glad you're here. I have missed doing these. I haven't gotten to do very many live free things in a while because the summer's just been so full with people in the Thrive program and in the workshop and everything else that's gone on in the summer. So now everything is kind of catching up, and I'm back from the vacation and everything. So now we can start doing more free stuff. I did a free webinar in a group last weekend, and then the thing just like completely disappeared overnight. So I was on forums 2 hours teaching, and then overnight the video disappeared. So I was like, let me not do a Facebook Live again, right, immediately after that happened. So that's why we're here on this. Yes, I am in Florida now. That's where we have lived for the last year. And we are applying for another visa for Australia. Now that we've been back in the States for a year, hopefully they'll give us another visa. And then we'll go back to Australia for a few months. But we have a house here now, and we're just going to Airbnb it while we're gone. So that's the plan. Done all this renovating and everything. This wall used to be peach. So yeah. All right, so we've got lots and lots to cover. You guys who have never been on a webinar with me, if you could just tell me in the comments, and just so I know anybody who's on live that it's the first time. Someday I hope to get to go to Australia. I highly recommend it. It is an amazing place. It is very, very unusual in a lot of ways. We lived on the Sunshine Coast, which is just north of Brisbane. It's a perfect spot. Love it there. Definitely should go. We'll have a guest room. You should come. So in this webinar, basically what we are talking about tonight is this is part of the Client Attraction Challenge. So real quick, the reason why I am doing the Client Attraction Challenge is because years ago, and I said this in an email, so some of you guys know this story, I was part of a Client Attraction Challenge as a participant. So somebody was running it, and it was for anybody who has a service business that works one-on-one with any kind of clients. So coaches, chiropractors, lawyers, obviously not just dog trainers, anybody who works with clients and just tries to attract clients to their business. So I did this Client Attraction Challenge, and I knew the lady who was running it. I was like, I'm going to win that thing. I know how to do this. I've been learning the marketing for this business for so long, and I know what I'm doing, and things are just kind of comfortable. I'm sure I could get it better. And it was the winter time, so I figured it was a good time to work on my business because we lived in Pennsylvania at the time, and that's one of the many areas of the U.S. that slows down in the winter. And did this challenge, and during that 2 or 3 months of the challenge running, she was doing webinars and teaching things, and we would apply and we'd report back on what we were doing and how we were applying it and what was happening, and just really got a chance to dive into my business and work on it more than I had in a while, even though I already knew the majority of the things that she was teaching because I'd been studying it for so long. It's always good to have the reminders of things that you haven't applied, or things that as your business grows, you hear the same information differently. You learn things in a different way or apply it in a different way as your business grows and as you grow as a person, your life changes. There's always something that you will hear differently than the first time. So even though I technically already knew how to do it and what the information was, I still had the opportunity, being in that challenge, to apply it differently and apply it better and have that accountability of having joined this particular thing, this contest. So at the end of the challenge, I wanted to win. I'm one of those people that always says, oh, I never win anything. I do randomly get free coffee at the drive-thru at Starbucks, where the person in front of me pays for me. That's pretty much the extent of my winning. I do have that happen pretty frequently, actually. Take a sip of my coffee on that note. And during the challenge, I ended up during that time tripled my income for the dog training business compared to previous winters, like what was average for the winter time. So I did really, really well, and I reported back all of these results that I had and how much I appreciated the challenge. And I wasn't picked as the winner, wah, wah. But it was quite a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. So I decided last year, I thought about it, and I was like, that really worked very well, even for people who've been through the workshops or people who haven't, or just starting out on their business, or are wanting to jump, or struggling, or burning out, or anything like that might be going on in your business, to be able to have this this kind of event and support and people rallying around you and also working on their own business and sharing ideas and doing kind of an event related thing rather than just having the random advice that goes on in the group. So in the Facebook groups in particular. So the way the challenge worked last year, it was just, I announced it. I said, I'm doing this challenge. Here it is. Go join it if you'd like to. And it'll be a contest also. I'll give away these prizes. I'll pick a winner out of the best, the people who implemented the most. Whether, depending on your results, doesn't have to be income, but whoever applied what they learned the most and got the best kind of impact in their lives and their business from it, that I pick a winner from it. And that was pretty much it. I just announced it and I did it, and the challenge participants were the only ones that really knew what was in it. This time I decided to do it a little bit differently. First of all, we're doing it before the winter instead of during the winter, so you can get a jump on it. Second of all, I wanted to give away the top one thing for each of the 4 main parts of your marketing for free. So even if you don't join the full challenge for the contest and all that stuff, you can still participate and you can still go and apply and report back and do your thing. So whichever way you decide to do it, you can take what you learned tonight, and apply it to your business and have like drastic changes from one month to the next. These are things that do have that impact on a regular basis. So don't underestimate it simply because it's free advice or because it's just the top #1 thing for the 4 main parts of your marketing. The full challenge, you will learn 5 things for each of the 4 main parts. So it's a much more deeper dive of what to do for each of the 4 main parts of your marketing. But even just from this free training tonight, you can still have huge major changes. So you can participate in either way, either in the free challenge or the full challenge. The full challenge, I'll give you more details on that, on what the prizes are. And there's also going to be prizes for people who just do the free one. So I will tell you all those details as well. So the 4 main parts of your marketing, you guys who have been following me for a while, so there's a couple of principles that will sound super familiar in here. One of them is one that I think I probably should just do like a million different versions of this in meme form and post it on Facebook or something, because this comes up so often. Most of the time when you see questions like in the Dog Trainer Facebook group for marketing, which has about 7,000 dog trainers in it, that's the one that I admin, that you guys see me in all the time. That most of the time the questions about marketing relate to advertising. And advertising is only one of the 4 parts of your marketing, but it is almost always given the majority of the attention. Because you assume if you're slow, it must be because you need to get your name out there more. You need to get more people to find you. You need to get more people to find out that you exist. So they'll say, I have a marketing question. Should I do, this kind of online advertising, or should I go to vet's offices? Or should I get my car wrapped? Or should I do billboards or radio ad or whatever? It'll be just advertising questions, which is fine. That is definitely part of marketing. That is getting people to find you. The other part of marketing is the other 3 pieces, which are basically like legs of a table. They're like 4 pieces, 4 legs of a table. If you're missing one, you can still use the table technically. It's just a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit more work. And sometimes, it falls over and you have to figure out how to pick it back up again. You're not really sure what's missing. So that's kind of what it's like if you're missing one of the other 3 legs. So you have the advertising, and that's just one part. All the other 3 parts are the other type of marketing, which is getting people to choose you. So you have getting people to find you and getting people to choose you. The other 3 types have to do with getting people to contact you. So they have found you, they're on your website now, and now your website needs to pull them in and get them to want to contact you. Then you have your sales process, which is getting them to actually decide to sign up with you instead of someone else. And then there's how you package what you offer. In other words, how your services are structured and how you price them and how you describe them. That is also part of your marketing. That also helps kind of pull people in, because how you describe your services is also part of your website content. But it mainly has the impact on how much you're making per person, which directly impacts how many people you have to attract, as in to get to find out that you exist. So it all flows up and affects everything else. If you're not making enough per client, then you will think, oh, I need to do more advertising. And then you'll go dump more money into advertising, or more time or effort, or all of the above, to get more people in, only to get more clients who are not paying you enough. Or you will dump more money into advertising to get more traffic to a website that nobody is being pulled in by. You know, they're finding you, they're just not calling you or contacting you. So by looking at it from that standpoint of it having 4 distinct parts of your marketing, it's so much easier to figure out where you actually need to put the focus. Do you actually need more people finding you, or is it something else? So you guys have probably heard me talk about this in one way or another several times. I call it holes in your marketing. We talked about, you know, carrying a bucket at a campsite that has water, you know, holes, water's leaking out everywhere, and then you just decide camping's not for you. There's lots of ways that I've explained this particular concept, but that is a very, very, very important part of it, is understanding the difference between advertising and the other parts of marketing. So those are the 4 main parts: advertising, which is getting people to find you; getting your website content, which is getting people to decide to contact you; your sales process, which is getting people to decide to sign up; and how you package and price your services, which impacts how much you make per person, and how quickly, and how many clients you have to attract in the first place in order to meet your income goals. So those are the 4 main areas. You guys who are in the workshop know that we cover all of those in the workshop all the time. When I say the workshop, I mean a workshop that I run twice a year online. Just ran it again recently. And we talk about them also in the Client Attraction Challenge. So it's basically a crash course similar to the topics that are in the big workshop, but instead of being the workshop investment, you know, the full challenge is a much, much smaller investment and much more condensed and much more like fine-tuned on the very specific individual small things that you can do that make the most difference. So it's much more compact, much easier to absorb in a short period of time and apply. And it's a great refresher for those of you guys who have done the workshop and just kind of want another jump start. So that's kind of what the challenge involves, is those 4 main areas of your marketing. So let's talk tonight about the top #1 thing for each of those 4 areas that you can do, the things that will have the biggest impact. Some of them are principle concept related things that will just keep you from making mistakes if you just keep those principles in mind, and it'll help you make decisions and keep your focus on how to apply all of this the best way. Let me make sure this is recording. Oh yeah. Whew. Man, I got scared for a second there. I was like, of all the technical things that have gone wrong lately, that would be, I'm like, I'm rolling along. I'm actually not too ridiculously embarrassed by anything that I'm saying so far. So I would like this to be recorded, please. Anyway, hold on. I'm kind of weird and kind of random. You'll get used to it if you're not already. It is some of my favorite people's favorite qualities about me. Other weird random people that I enjoy their company appreciate that about me. So the top #1 thing about each of the 4 areas. The first, again, area is your advertising, which is always everybody's first question, is how do I get more people to find out I exist? The number one thing that you need to remember, and you should be writing these things down about advertising, is that you should be focusing on the people who are already looking for a dog trainer. Focus first on the people who are already looking for a dog trainer. This is a lot more of a kind of a mind blower than it originally sounds like, because it sounds like something that should be obvious, right? Like, well, yeah, duh, you should be focusing on people who are looking for a dog trainer. But think about it, the types of advertising attempts that you might make might be focusing on just the mass public, hoping somebody sees it who's looking for a dog trainer, like a billboard, a radio ad, a commercial. Any of these types of things are things that people will, it'll be seen by people who don't have dogs, who are unaware of any kind of problem with their dog. They're unaware that there's a service or a problem they're maybe aware of. They are aware that there is maybe a solution to a problem that they have with their dog, but they're not aware that there's a service for it, and they just stumble upon you. So a lot of advertising is geared toward being stumbled upon, like Facebook ads. Facebook ads are another good example, a modern example. You can't really target people who are actively looking for a dog trainer. They stumble upon you in Facebook ads. So sometimes you will be in front of people who are actively looking for a trainer, and most of the time you're in front of people who are somewhere else on the scale, that they don't have a dog, they're not aware of a problem with their dog, or they don't know that there's a solution to a problem or any of that. So what you're going for is looking for people who are aware of the fact that there's a solution and a service for the problem that they have with their dog that they are already aware of to an extent. And they're going online and typing in dog trainer in my area. That's why, online advertising through Google, so you can be found on Google, is so popular, because that you can target the people who are actively looking for your service specifically. They're always going to be the hottest leads, because you don't have to convince them of the fact that they want your service. They already know that. So you're already a little bit ahead of the game with that. And then your job can just be to get them to choose you instead of another dog trainer that they find, as long as you're being found that way. So if you are not sure if you're getting enough people to find you, that would be the thing to focus on first. The second best place to focus on is referrals from past clients or anybody else. So that's why, trying to get referrals from vet offices remains popular to this day, despite all the internet that goes on, because I got distracted by my phone for 1 second. You see, this is my problem tonight. I'm so sorry. My phone is messed up. It's doing this. It just says 1%. It's stuck on this. I'm waiting for it to die so I can just reset it. It's saying this is messed up. It's very buggy. So I'm watching it count down and waiting for it to self-destruct. That's basically what's happening. No. I see every time. Here's Julia. Everybody say hi, Julia. You can get it after I'm done. Go on. Out. Go. Say hi. Get out. Don't come in here again. You know the rules. Need some crates for those ones. So, where was I? Okay. Getting referrals. Vet offices remain popular because anybody who recommends you to another person, it automatically carries more weight because you were directly recommended by another human. So anytime somebody talks about you and says, oh, I heard this dog trainer's good, or I use this dog trainer, that is great, because that carries a lot of weight for people. That has a huge mental trigger for people to hear you recommended by somebody else, even if they don't know somebody else. So getting more referrals is always a top priority from your past clients or anybody else. Getting vets to refer you is a little bit tricky sometimes, and that's one thing we talk a lot about in the challenge, is how to get more vet referrals. And the other thing that we talk about is how to get more past client referrals. But the top #1 way to do that is to make sure that your clients remember to do it and know how to do it. So you tell them, hey, when you see other people that are struggling the way you were before the training, make sure you keep me in mind, and just say, hey, I have this great dog trainer that can really help you. If you ever need any help, here's her website. And then tell them your website. Make sure your clients remember your website address and know how to refer you to people, so they don't go, oh, I worked with this great dog trainer. Her name is Molly. Go see if you can find her. That's not really going to work very well. They need to remember to do it, and they need to know how. So make sure your clients know those two things. That's the big principle for that. So focus on the people who are actively looking for your service already, and focus on getting more referrals. Those are kind of a little bonus #1 tip for that. The top one is the focusing on the people who are already looking for you. So that's the advertising one. Let me look and see if there's any questions real quick. Nope, not yet. You guys are welcome to ask questions while you're here live. You guys who are on live get dibs on questions. So feel free to ask as we go along, and I'll keep an eye on the questions box here. So that's the advertising. The next one would be your website, which means they've now found you. Now your website's job is to get them to contact you. So what is the #1 tip to get your website working better for you, so people are more likely to contact you? The #1 tip about your website is a little bit of a principle, but I'll give you some to-dos as well. You want to make sure your website focuses almost entirely on your ideal clients and not on yourself, which is very tricky because it's your website. So you think you got to talk about yourself, your certifications, your background, your passions, your processes, your features, your methods, your anything else that you would ever get on the soapbox about, because it's your website. But they don't care about you at all. They care about themselves. They don't know you. They want to see that you understand them, and that you know what they're going through, and that you can help them. They only care about themselves right then. They barely even care about their dogs right then. They care about themselves. So even talking about, the benefits to the dogs for training or anything like that can sometimes fall flat on people, because They care about themselves. They're having an issue that's affecting their everyday life happiness in their house because their dog is not listening and not paying attention or jumping on people or barking or pulling on the leash or whatever. So it's affecting their everyday life, and that's what they care about most. You really have to get into the heads of your ideal client and think about what are their top frustrations and anxieties, and what are they afraid will happen if they don't get the dog trained or these behaviors gone. How's it impacting their everyday life? Get into their heads and talk about the things that they are already aware of as far as their problems and the things that they want. You know, right now your dog is doing these things that are driving you crazy, and what you really want is a dog that can be with your family and everything's peaceful and your dog listens and stops the selective hearing and everybody's happy and there's no more embarrassment and all that stuff. So you talk about the top of mind problems and the top of mind goals that they have, the outcomes they want, the problems they already have, the frustrations they already have. Talk about them, what they're going through, and reassure them that you can help them and what those outcomes might look like. And tell them what to do next. You know, call you and talk about your dog, call you and talk about their dog. So the website should be primarily geared toward them, their fears, their frustrations, their desires, all that stuff, and less about you. Your About Us page can be more about you, and your services page will describe more about what you do, but mostly about the benefits of working with you and what they can expect in terms of outcomes. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But your website content needs to be mainly very heavily focused on those things. A couple other quick tips: make sure your location and your phone number or your email address are really obvious. Don't bury those at the bottom of the footer because people don't want to hunt to see if you're in their area. And I see that a lot on websites that those things are dismissed. So double check that on your website. Also, one other big main principle that will help you a lot with all of your marketing decisions, everything you do with marketing your business on all 4 of these sections of your marketing, is to remember that every part of your marketing purpose. Every single step has one purpose. You shouldn't be blending them all together. In other words, your sales process doesn't have also the purpose of necessarily teaching them about learning quadrants or whatever. You know, that's part of the training. That's for that later step. Each part of your marketing has one step. Your advertising is to get them to find out you exist. Your website is to get them to contact you. Once they contact you, your sales conversation is to get them to decide to sign up. You know, and within your sales process, there are certain parts where every part of it has its own purpose. So keep in mind that when you're thinking about your website, so again, we did advertising and now we're on the second one, your website, getting people to contact you, that your website's job is just to get them to contact you. If you focus your website on that one principle, that will help alleviate a lot of the decisions that you have to make, because you can look at your website and say, is this about them? And will it make them want to contact me? Or is it just me explaining myself? Or is it just me like talking about my own opinions on, you know, training methods or whatever? Is it something that's going to make my ideal client want to contact me? Or is it just there to save me phone time? Or is it there to help prevent me from having to answer questions I don't want to answer? Or is it there because it's important to me? You know, it's just a topic that's important to me to have on my website. You know, is it going to make people want to contact you? If you can always answer that question about the things you put on your website, that'll help clarify a lot of the decisions you have to make about what goes on there. So those are the big tips for your website content. So again, I'm supposed to cover one, but I'm kind of branching a little bit into a couple extra ones here and there, just to kind of round it out. So that's your advertising and your website. The third area of your marketing is your sales process. So now they found you, they've decided to contact you, and now comes every communication from the time they contact you to the time they sign up. That whole thing also has these micro steps where every step has its own purpose. During that whole thing, you are, first of all, remembering that training comes after they sign up, typically. Like sometimes you guys might have part of your sales process is an evaluation where you also do a little training session or you do the first lesson. Some people do that. Some people do it successfully. A lot of people attempt it and it fails because people don't go beyond that first visit anymore because they feel like they got a little bit, you know, and they run off with that. So if that happens, then you are shooting yourself in the foot, because then people are spending way less per person, you know, just going off with that one lesson. So there's a couple other things to consider in there, but typically your sales process is its own piece and training comes after that. which also means talking like a trainer comes after that. So you want to avoid talking like a trainer. I talked about this in the webinar last weekend, that you want to avoid the dog trainer jargon. Don't talk over their heads. Talk like a regular person, conversationally. Don't use phrases and that dog trainers just naturally know what they mean, that they don't use in their normal conversation, like recall and proof and conditioning and even balanced and words like that. They don't use in their own language about their dog. Just talk like a regular person. That's a huge tip for your sales process. But the big one is to remember that every part of the sales process has one purpose. Another example of this and how you can apply that principle is that when they first contact you, a big struggle that a lot of people have is getting people to be reachable again after that first contact. This again, another thing I talked about last weekend is getting second contact, meaning they contact you, they email, they call, they text, and you call or text or email back and can't reach them forever, and repeat forever till you die. And the getting second contact is tricky because they're like, oh, cool, they got back to me, and then they just never get around to getting back to you again. The trick that I shared last weekend, which is something that has worked phenomenally well for many, many people, and only doesn't work well if there's an individual specific reason for how you're wording something that's causing a problem, like an individual specific issue with something you're saying in your responses to people that's keeping them from responding back. But typically, the way this looks is they contact you. They say, I'm looking for information about the pricing for your dog training. You will write back, and remember that the number one purpose of the very beginning of your sales process is just to get second contact. So you have a little step here before you even listen to them about their problems, before you even reassure them that you can help, before you even talk about your services, before you even give them testimonials, before you even talk about your training methods, before you tell them your requirements, before you send them a contract, before you do anything else. Micro step in your sales process is one purpose. They've contacted you. Micro step next is getting them to answer you again. So achieving second contact. So that little thing, people fall through that hole all the time, where you get 10 people contacting you and you can only reach back 2. So the best way to make sure you get second contact is to treat it like a micro step. Don't give them a ton of information in your return to first contact, your reply. Instead, just contact them back and say, thanks so much for getting in touch. I would love to hear more about your dog. Can I give you a call tonight after 6 o'clock or tomorrow morning or whatever, whenever you're available? Yes or no question. That's it. The next step in that micro commitment is achieving second contact, which is ultimately just getting one more reply. So the conversation continues and they're further down the path. Getting that one more reply makes it more likely that you can then schedule a consult and do everything else that you intended to do in the first place, that normally you would throw at them all at once. Thank you so much for contacting us. The next step is doing a consult. Let's schedule a date. Are you available this day or this day or this day? During this consult, we'll do these things and we'll talk about these things. In the meantime, here's my programs, here's my testimonials, here's my training methods, blah, 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 blah. And then they don't write back at all or call you back at all. So just say, can I give you a call at this time? And they hopefully will just say yes or no. You know, if it's no, they'll give you their phone number and say, can you call me this other time instead? You'll get second contact much more often that way. And then you can move on with the rest of the steps with listening to them, reassuring them, getting a consult scheduled or whatever it is. So each piece has its own purpose. First step is just to achieve second contact, get them to answer you one more time. The next step is getting them on the phone typically. You know, so that's why I give the example of, can I give you a call tomorrow? Because then you can get them on the phone and every little thing is like a little micro commitment on their part. Helps to kind of pull the sales process along to remember that every step has one purpose. So that's the big principle for your sales process, is that every step has one purpose, and make sure you get that second contact and nailed down. That's really, really important. I'm going to look at questions here for a second. Angelina says, I need help attracting my ideal clients. I have too many people call me for a free consult and neither I nor they want to work with each other. Okay. Give me a little bit more example, if you don't mind typing while you listen. Angelina, just tell me a little bit more about why they're not ideal for you and who your ideal client is. Like just briefly, to say, you know, why the people who are contacting you don't have any interest in working with you, and why you don't have any interest in working with them. Is it a dog related thing? Is it something about the dog's behavior, or is it something having to do with the people? What is it more exactly? Then I can give you a more exact better advice. So those are three of the areas: advertising, website, sales process. Three of your areas of marketing and the top thing to do for each of those. Now the fourth one is packaging, how you package what you offer. So packaging what you offer, the number one mistake that I see trainers make is packaging what they offer based on how much time is included. So they're selling their time. You know, you're selling your hours, you sell a lesson, you sell a consult, it's a certain amount of money, you sell a package of lessons for a certain amount of money, and that's it, you sell your time. When you're packaging what you're offering, instead of packaging it based on how much time is included, even if you have true programs, like you have done training with me before and you have actual programs and you understand this concept thoroughly, you might still be making it appear that they are buying your time because you are focusing too much on what you do during the training and what's included in terms of features. So here's this program. You know, do you wish your dog would do this and this and this? Do you know, instead of this and this and this is what this program does. This program includes 4 lessons and these commands and blah, 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 and you know, all that stuff. So you have a lot of focus on, you have some focus on the benefits of the program, but you're still focusing a lot on how you do it, your processes, the number of lessons, the number of features, the number of commands. It's okay to mention the features and all that, but it needs to be very heavily focused on what they're actually getting in terms of outcome and benefits to the family, what they can expect as far as changes, transformation, before and after, what their life is going to be like with the dog now compared to later, the peace in the house and the lack of embarrassment for the bad behavior, and you know, whatever you have determined are the big main emotional trigger motivators for your ideal clients, the things that they really want, the reasons why they said they wanted the training, not just what they want to accomplish, the why they want to accomplish it, why they decided they wanted the training in the first place, why they're contacting you, what the impact on their life is. Those things need to be clear in how you package what you offer. So this goes back a little bit to your website content because your services are part of that. You have your dog training programs page. That should be primarily focused on the benefits that they can expect and not your features and processes. So the big part of that principle is really just turning your brain around into remembering that you should be charging for the value of the results and the outcomes that you give people, how much peace of mind you give people, like long-term support, things like that, and how convenient the training is compared to doing it themselves or compared to the other options you have or compared to other trainers. So those 3 things, those are the things that people value the most. Higher level of result, better outcome, you know, like the dog's reliable off leash now, so you can charge more because, you know, the higher level of result. That's why it's more valuable. It's not because it has more time in it. It's, you know, it takes more time to get the dog reliable off leash, but the time equals a better result, and that's what they're paying for. The better result, not the extra time. The extra time is incidental. It just is how you do it, right? Board and train programs are another example. Board and train programs are valuable because it's more convenient. They're paying for the convenience. It's less effort. It's less work. They're not paying for your weeks of time with the dog. They're paying for the convenience of not having to do it themselves. So it's a little bit of a switch in your head of just changing how you view what they're paying for. They're not paying for the feature or your time. They're paying for what that gives them in the end. Outcome, better outcome, more convenience, more peace of mind. If you have long-term support built in, you know, X number of, you know, lifetime unlimited ongoing support, which means that they can have up to 1 lesson every 6 months if they ever need any help, extra help. It's still lifetime. Things like that. Lifetime peace of mind things, unlimited things, unlimited lessons, you know, that they can use after a certain number. They can have up to a certain amount per 6 months or quarter or whatever you want to do. So that they know if they ever have any trouble later on, you're still there to help. They can still polish things up for you. That is peace of mind feature. People are very happy to pay for peace of mind. So any program that you do that focuses on having more of those things, focuses on the benefits to the humans and what they get in the end, rather than just on what you do and how much time is included, what that will mean is that you can actually have programs that are smaller and shorter and have more benefits described, but charge more because people are much more willing to pay for a program that has a lot more outcome, better results, better peace of mind, better convenience than they are for just bigger programs that are just longer and more time because they don't care about how long it takes. They care about the outcome being better and the convenience and the peace of mind. So if you make that shift, you can focus your services on those things. And then when you do that, and you're focusing more on the impact that your training has on them and in those three areas, outcome, peace of mind, and convenience, then you can charge a lot more for the same amount of time. The best way to apply that is to just go and create one giant program. I walk you through that. Actually, if you guys go to makeitasadogtrainer.com, the main website, and you go on the blog is the mini workshop, the crash course from this year. So I think right now it's the second blog post. I just put it up on the blog a few days ago. But it's been the crash course that's been up for a few months. In that crash course, there's a video that walks you through how to create a big program that has more of those three things in it, so that you can offer that alongside what you're already doing and get a high-paying client. So the whole point of packaging what you offer this way is so that you make more per person, and you don't have to attract as many people. You don't have to get as many yeses. You don't have to get as many people contacting you. You don't have to advertise as much, because you're going to be doubling or tripling or more your income per client. So you don't need as many. You can focus on just the best people and giving them the best of you and the best results. And they're much more ideal, typically, too. The more they pay, typically the better clients they are. All right, let me see Angelina's answers, and this will help you guys with fine-tuning your ideal clients, too. Okay, they don't want the people you don't want. They don't want to put in the work. They can't afford it. The area they live in, they want a quick fix. They have family issues mixed in and family drama. Ideal client, serious, elderly folks that need help, folks that want to work, folks that want a way to, will find a way to afford it. Behavioral modification for pet dogs is what you're going for. Ideal client, new baby with a dog, has time to put in the work, respects my knowledge and ability to help them, doesn't question literally everything, and doesn't have a preconceived idea of what will work for their dog. Okay, so a lot of that is pretty standard for probably all of us. You know, that we don't want people who don't listen. We don't want people who aren't willing to do their homework, who are not going to apply what you teach them. We don't want people who nickel and dime you and don't understand the value of what you do. Everything, Angelina, you're in the workshop, right? You have the Make More Money workshop, or the program creation workshop. It's the same thing, just different name. I think you're in that group. What you will want to focus on in order to get more of your ideal clients is, number one, thinking about them when you're writing anything, who you're actually wanting, and thinking about not too much thinking about who you don't want. You're mainly thinking about who you do want, because by doing that, it will accidentally tend to make your language be written in a way that alienates people that you don't want. So, for example, you could say things like, in this program, we will work together on this, and I will teach you how to apply these things in your life so that you know how to do these things with your dog. If you're saying that, you're going to alienate people who want a magic bullet and don't want to do anything. You know, it's like little tricks like that tend to help. Other like specific things that tend to make a big difference is, number one, the more you charge, the better clients you tend to get. And when you are talking to people who are not willing to spend anything on the training, they will tend to, yes, you said you are in the workshop. They will tend to, if you are talking to people who are not ideal and not willing to spend anything, if you ask them questions, well, first of all, you can't prejudge people on that. I've had people in the ghetto lots and lots of times drop $2,000 on a dog training program. So you can't always judge what they value. You know, don't ever prejudge people on that. It happens all the time. But, and there's, by the same token, there's people with tons of money that don't value it and will nickel and dime you and decide it's too expensive. So it's really just a matter of perspective of what's more valuable to them, the money or the outcome. And to a lot of people, the outcome is more important because the struggles are just that bad. And one of the tricks with that is making sure you clearly get them to explain what the struggles are so that they can connect you with the solution to the things that they just said that they hate. So in the workshop, when you're listening to week 4 about your sales process and you're listening to them, make sure you're really thoroughly asking the 4 questions in that first step, which for the rest of you guys, just so you know, when you're listening to people talk about their dogs, you want them to tell you what their dog is doing that they want them to stop doing, what their dog is not doing that they wish they were doing, how it's impacting their everyday life, like thoroughly, how is it impacting everything? They can't have people over. They can't go for walks. They can't come home from work and relax because now they got to walk the dog because nobody else can control them. Whatever. How is it impacting their everyday life? What are they afraid of that will happen if nothing changes? That's a big one. What is the cost of no action? What is the thing that's going to happen or they're afraid will happen if they don't do anything? Make sure they tell you those things. a lot of times by making sure that that stuff comes out in conversation, they value the outcome more than the money by the time you get to the point of how much you charge. Another thing to keep in mind is that part of your filtering out non-ideal clients is going through the process of your sales conversation. So you can't weed them out entirely. Your sales process is part of your marketing, which means that by the time they get to your sales process, some non-ideal people will still be there, you know, that you have to weed out in the process of doing your 9 steps correctly in your sales process. So make sure you focus a lot on your 9 steps thing. And you might want to go back and reevaluate some of the language in your the wording of your programs, that like some of those convenience factors, that it doesn't sound like you were doing everything for them. I've even had that happen even in my one-on-one coaching programs with dog trainers, that I would get a string of or you know, I say a string, like maybe 2 people who were less ideal, who kind of treated the coaching program like I was a hired worker to do all of their marketing, which isn't really the purpose of the, you know, I do a lot of stuff for them in a lot of the programs, like rewriting their websites and rewriting their program descriptions after I get to know their business. But I'm their coach. I'm there to show them how to do it themselves too, to teach them how to fish, not just to give them all the fish, you know. And if I get somebody who kind of seems to act like that they're not there to learn anything, they're only there to just give me their marketing tasks, it's not going to work as well. That's not ideal. They need to know how to do it. And they need to know why it needs to be done certain ways, so that the decisions can be made from then on without my help as they go along in their business for years to come. So I had to go back to my own language and my program descriptions for the coaching programs and say, what am I saying in here that's making people think of it as a magic bullet where they don't have to do anything anymore, and they don't have to apply anything, and they don't have to listen or learn anything. You know, they don't do their homework and they don't schedule their calls, and they're like, where's my stuff that you're supposed to do? And I'm like, we have stuff to do first. You have to learn things. Please listen to me. So that stuff too, you have to go back and check your wording and see if you're accidentally attracting these magic bullet type people, or these low income people who are, you know, and like I said, low income is not always a guaranteed not signing up, or just people who aren't willing to value what you do. So why aren't they valuing what you do? And usually it's something having to do with what you describe it. They're not valuing the outcome more than the money. So why is that? Why are they not understanding the value of what you do? Something in your descriptions or something in your sales process must be doing that. But still, like I said, remember your sales process is part of your marketing, which means its job is to help weed out non-ideal clients. So you're not going to always weed them out beforehand before they call you. So I hope that helped. Makes sense. But I feel like your ideal client is pretty much the same as how mine was in my dog training business. So not alone there. Hey, Stephanie, I see your name in the list now. How you doing, girl? How's your piggy? Stephanie has a pet pig, and I did not know that pigs are as awesome as they are. They're like clean and smart and friendly and sweet and really cool. I saw somebody with a pet, really huge, big white pig in their yard a couple weeks ago. It was really cool. I took a picture of it. Okay, yes, Angelina says I will keep reevaluating. Thank you. You're very welcome. All right, so those are recapping the 4 main areas of your marketing: your advertising, your website, your sales process, and how you package and price what you offer. And the top tips for each of those again: advertising, focus on the people who are already looking for your service. Your website, you want to talk mostly about your ideal clients, fears, frustrations, and goals, and less about yourself. Your sales process, you want to talk about, or you want to remember that each part of it has its own step, and really nail down that second contact part. That's where the majority of people fall out, is that they contact you and you can't reach them again. So treat each little part as a micro commitment. Don't throw everything all at once. You want to just get them to reply back one more time. So that's a big thing for your sales process. Packaging what you offer, focus on what they get, the benefits and the outcomes, more so than what you do with the features and processes. So those are the top tips for the 4 main areas of your marketing, and don't neglect any of the 4 areas or your table will fall over because it's missing legs or they're broken and you don't know it. And make sure you apply those 4 things. So here's what you need to know about the challenge. So those things that I just told you tonight, you can definitely use and have major impacts on your business. So what I'm going to want you to do is I will want you to apply them and then report back to me by the end of the year about what happened, and say, you know, I did the webinar, client attraction challenge, I implemented this is what happened. And you can just send me a private message. You can send me an email. You can get my contact information on makeitasadogtrainer.com. It's always there. And just let me know what happened. And I will have a prize. I'll pick a random, not random, I will choose a winner out of the people who applied Things the Best from this webinar. So you guys who are just on this webinar and this is as far as we're going, then you make sure you apply as much as you can, implement like crazy, go for it. Don't wait till it's perfect, just go do, and report back to me by the end of the year about what happened. And then I will pick a winner, and the winner will get their website completely reviewed, front to back, and the front page rewritten, which is usually something that costs, something I usually only do on my Thrive programs, you know, the one-on-one coaching programs. So that's not normally available ever. That's never available for free, never. So that is a huge, huge, huge prize to one person that I'm going to pick out of you guys who do the free version of the challenge. The other version, the full challenge, we will cover top five things for each of those 4 areas of your marketing. Everything's already been recorded because I did the challenge last year. So I don't feel like I can explain it better than I did in those videos. So those videos are already there in the challenge, in your video library when you join it. And you can watch all 4 of the videos now if you wanted to, anytime. So you could just go ahead and learn it all and go do it and have a lot more detail, a lot more information, a lot more examples. And the whole purpose of that is that when you have that accountability of being in a group and you're going through something, you've invested in it, you are determined to make it work, and you have more at stake, meaning you have better prizes that you can win, then you are much more likely to do it. You're much more likely to implement it. I can't tell you how many times, it's just like giving people dog training for free. If you get people dog training for free, they wouldn't take it as seriously and they wouldn't implement it or apply it as much. They won't get as many benefits. But the more you charge, the more skin they have in the game, and the more likely they are to listen to you and do the things and get the benefits. It's the same thing with this. If I had done that client attraction challenge years ago and I didn't pay for it, I probably would have dropped it and been like, oh yeah, it would have been cool to win, but if I don't do anything, I'm not losing anything. You know, so it's more accountability as well. Plus you get more out of it, you get much more training, and you get better prizes. So here's how the prizes work. After the challenge, you're gonna have time to go through it because it's all self-paced. You can watch the challenge training in your video library, which you get access to when you join. And once you do that, you have time to watch it all, and then you have time to implement it all. So you have until the end of January to tell me about your results, which I will give you during the challenge how to do that, how to tell me, and the information I want to know. Tell me about all you applied, what happened, everything, and the winner that I picked from the full challenge will get you will get free access into my Fast Fix program, which is one of my one-on-one coaching programs, which is a 3-month-long program together, so we can work on all the aspects of your marketing together and continue to improve what you did side by side. I will also rewrite all the pages, the main pages of your website, which again is something I normally only do in my Legends program, which is my biggest one-on-one coaching program, which is a much, 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 much higher investment than challenges. So that's a huge prize. I mean, I could put a dollar amount on it, but it would probably make your head fall off. So yeah, rewriting your website content so that you can attract more of your ideal clients to you. That's the whole purpose of rewriting your website content. I get to know your business, and then we take what your website says and write it in a way that attracts more people who find you, the people you want. And then the third thing you get, if you want it, is tons of public recognition. So I can just plaster your story and my appreciation for you everywhere, if you want. That would be motivating for me, because I'm weird like that. I like recognition for things I accomplish. I like compliments. I admit it. That is me. And my husband knows it. So Jason's like, he knows that I work for compliments. So he works for numbers. Like, he's a results-driven guy, like analytical paper. This is the result, and I'm like, how many times do people thank me, and feel, have a better life because of something I said, and appreciate something that happened, how many, that's my motive. So tons of recognition if you want it. If you don't, that's fine too. If you want to be, just get the prizes behind the scenes, that's totally fine. So you got 3 months of private coaching and a complete rewrite of your website, and lots of recognition if you want it for winning the challenge. Joining the challenge is super easy. just go to makeitasadogtrainer.com, the main website, makeitasadogtrainer.com. At the top, there's a link that says Client Attraction Challenge. Click on it, read the details. If you can't read all the details, it's a short page, take you a couple minutes. If you can't read all of it, then you're probably not going to win. You need to actually read what it's about and how to do it. Make sure you understand it, and click on the button at the bottom that says Join the Client Attraction Challenge. And then you will get, after you join, you'll get access to the videos right away. Oh, and we will also do your own Q&As. So since those videos are pre-recorded and it had the questions from the live attendees back then, you needed your own questions answered too. So next week and the week after, and probably the week after that too, we are going to do Q&A just for the new challenge participants. So you can get your questions answered. You just send me your questions, I add them to the queue, I do live Q&As, they get recorded, they get posted in the same video library, and you can just watch them whenever you want to get your questions answered. All of it is self-paced, and you don't have to worry about being live on any particular part of it if you can't. So that's how that works. Like I said, all four areas, all four of the training of all four areas of your marketing are already there in the library. So you can watch them all and just bang through it super quick. Start applying it right now. You'll get, the faster you do it, the more you will have, the better results you'll have. And of course, the more chance then you have of winning. So it'll be super fun. It's lots and lots of fun. We use the big group, the big Facebook group that has 7,000 dog trainers in it. We use that as a place to talk about it and ask questions as well. So you can always tag me in posts or hashtag Client Attraction Challenge so I can find them and anything like that. So if you'd rather use the group for support, the group is a great place to go for support for that. So a lot of people in the group will be in the challenge, and that'll be a good place to get extra support from the community of nice, wonderful, friendly dog trainers that are in that group. Which I always joke about that I only get nice, friendly, wonderful dog trainers in my programs. That's the only people that ever join. The others get kicked out. Kim says it would be awesome to win. Angelina says, haha, you look very pretty today. Thank you, Angelina. I appreciate that. I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the webinar, I was looking at myself in the webcam thing because my hair is extra curly and I keep like pulling the curls out because it looks funny to me to be like that made up, because I'm going to a friend's house for a dinner party thing. So I had to do my hair. So thank you, I appreciate it. Colleen, I don't think I have an email from you. I have replied back to all of my emails up through today. So could you forward it to me, and anything that, especially if it's a question or something like that, that I can answer fast, feel free to send me a message on Facebook instead. I usually check those a little bit more often than email as well. But as of this afternoon, all the emails were replied to. So yeah, just forward me anything that I might have missed. So I appreciate you letting me know that you're missing something. Okay, any other questions for now? Since there's a little bit of delay, I might miss your question, in which case, just stay in touch, send me emails. I don't see any others right now, so I will let you guys go. Thanks so much for joining me, and I feel like a success that this actually ended up being under an hour. It usually goes on much longer than that with all the stories and stuff that get told. So you guys helped with that. Thanks so much for keeping me on track, keeping me focused on my lack of sleep stupor. So I appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks so much. Bye. Thank you. You're welcome. Bye.